I can't believe we have to talk penis druids. Like, I'm a little perturbed that we have to talk about penis druids. What's up, Bob? We're live. I guess we should start Smarkdown Radio. As always, I am Travis. This is Brother Bob.
As always, dealing with audio issues.
I think we got it figured out. This sounded. We did some checks and pre-records. It sounds way better than last week, guys. But it involved. It's a board issue. I'm gonna have to get a new board. So all that tech stuff. We apologize, but we're here. Brother Bob's gonna fill us in. He was all in, and you saw from the video package. He put himself over. We need to a big, huge thank you to Papa Buck.
Absolutely.
For letting us use the official all-in theme for our opening video package this week.
Which is available on both iTunes and YoungBucksMerch.com.
Go get it.
Yeah,
I mean, there was stuff that happened Monday and Tuesday, but we might get to that. We've got a lot to talk about All In, and Bob, you were there for All In and Starrcast all weekend. So, I mean, this is pretty much going to be. I certainly have my thoughts on the All In show, and we're going to definitely talk about that. Saw some history being made, how it's going to and is changing the industry. I think that's probably the biggest story out of all of this is how this is allowing wrestlers to leverage the WWE. There's now, for somebody who can get over on the indies, there's really a light at the end of the tunnel. They can make a nice living without having to sacrifice their creativity and their independence to go to WWE and make big money.
Absolutely. And that is good for everyone. Any option you have to better negotiate contracts, any option you have to make a better living for your family is a positive. And, you know, as a wrestling fan, I want to see the boys succeed. I don't want to see guys locked into a contract with a company that isn't going to use them for their potential, but because they feel they need to be there to take that paycheck because there's nowhere else to make that money, they, deal with it. This shouldn't happen.
Do you know the number, Bob? I know that the Bucks are doing a T-shirt, 263 or something. I wanted to say, we can look it up real quick, but I know that's the next shirt. They're taking pre-orders on it. That's a hell of an accomplishment, and it's one of those like it's great. And then now we're gonna see like if you want to count it, because you kind of got to count it, even though Ring of Honor is doing the Super Show. Like you unplug things and it makes things go haywire. Tell me.
Try not to.
So with the MSG Super Show, they're going to reset that number. You kind of got to count it in that aspect, but that's great. You're talking about multiple shows now, over 10,000 people. I'm hoping that the guys manage to turn a profit on this. Again, we don't know. I'm sure people with a little more access and a little more in the know will get to interview the Bucks and Codys, and they aren't probably going to get exact numbers, but it would be nice to hear that they turned a profit and all the boys had a nice payday. The boys and girls all had a nice payday off this, and it's really a stepping off place. That jumping off point to create a better environment. Do you need help, Bob?
I need a screwdriver. We're gonna fix this damn mic one day.
11,263.
11,263.
Yep. That's what I thought it was.
And I did confirm that with the box office, who I happened to be on the phone with yesterday to make sure, because there were some marks out there who, for some reason, can't take the fact that this show was successful. And I've seen some pages which have really fancy graphics that look like they're a legit wrestling news page and claiming that those aren't the real numbers. Meltzer's inflating them, and then you look at their follower numbers and it's like 80 people, and I'm like, you're nobody. You don't have a single wrestler on your followers. You got 80 people following you. Like, you didn't fact check this at all, because I did. So we want to give them as much credit as possible for the accomplishment. Coming out and, because for whatever reason you're butthurt, coming out and trying to diminish what they've done is just a shitty thing to do, man.
Look, both sides have their haters. Like I've been seeing it on the Facebook groups, and let's really dive into what we thought of All In, and then we'll hit on Starrcast itself and some of the stuff that was going on there. There are haters on both sides. There are guys on the internet, you know, just fans or whatever, not even outlets, but fans that are trying to propagate the idea that All In was like the best show ever.
Now, when you've seen this, because I've seen something similar but not quite, what I've been seeing is people who were at the show live saying, I've been to WrestleMania, this was better.
No,
and things of that nature.
Some of that is people who've been to the show.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, again, if Bob was there live, I watched, okay? I watched on Honor Club. So we have two very different perspectives. And I promise, I'm not going to crap on the show. I really liked the show. But I feel that these people who are coming out and saying, I watched it, and I've seen this, I watched it, and it was better than any WWE pay-per-view this year. And I was like, well, it was better than a lot of WWE pay-per-views this year. It's hard saying it was better than Mania. And
I don't know. I thought Mania was complete garbage. I think for every Dick Druid wrestler guy you had show up, you had a Braun Strowman winning a tag team title with a child. So I mean,
if you're gonna give me comedy, I'd rather see Braun Strowman win a tag team title with a child, because that's a feel good moment at least. I don't need Dick.
That Dick wrestler really devalued a belt though, didn't he? Just saying.
I have no. You know what? Call me a Cornette clone. Call me this. Like, my idea of comedy spots, I liked the Jay Lethal thing. I thought they towed the line of maybe going a little too far with the back and forth switches. But I can get behind that. That's humorous to me. But it's still a really good match. Like, raising famous Dick wrestler Joey Ryan from the dead and having Dick Druids come out, and like, I didn't need to see that on a show that I was really enjoying and continued to really enjoy. It really, for me, again, I know there are tons of people that loved it.
To be fair,
I know,
if
Bob.
you had watched Being the Elite, like I told you, for the last 4 months,
I don't see
it was a 4-month build on their program.
And
you were known to expect
I can't get into it, Bob. It's the same reason that I'm steering away from Impact. It's the same reason I've tried to give Lucha a really, like, a legit shot. It's just too overproduced. It's too movie style, and I don't want that in my wrestling. Like, that's a personal opinion. If you like it, God bless. Go watch famous Dick wrestler Joey Ryan. I have no use for the Dick Druids. Like, zero.
I can enjoy comedy and wrestling as long as it doesn't deter from a match or take a substantial amount of a show that could be directed towards guys who aren't getting any camera time. Had somebody been booked on the show, like a major, or even like a minor star been booked and not got on that show at all because Joey Ryan came out and did a Dick spot, I would have had a problem with it. The fact that it wasn't in a match, there was no titles on the line, it didn't make the business look stupid in general, of the idea of, he's beating the guy with his penis. It was just a comedy spot, after a match, which I'm okay with. I think that was the best way they could have handled that. I'm not a Joey Ryan fan,
I guess,
but
again, God bless you, like it.
And if people are looking for it, like, we were sitting and watching people on the floor, and a bunch of people brought inflatable penises from
I don't get it,
like,
guys.
Adult,
I'm sorry,
like, stores, and they were like swinging around in the crowd, and I'm
nothing.
like, I was shocked. I was like, why do they have?
I've got nothing on that. Like
they weren't allowing beach balls in, but people had inflatable penises, and
I don't like
all
it.
right.
That I felt that was the low point of the show. I know a lot of people
I
popped
agree.
for it, and like, I know people are like trying to put it over, and that's another war that's happening in a lot of these forums and groups. Is like, there's people like me who I'm like, this sucks, and there's a lot of us out there, and there's a lot of people who love it, and I don't get you guys. God bless you. Well, I don't understand. I'm way more old. Like, I hate to be that get off my lawn. I'm not that bad, but man,
and the thing as a wrestling fan, I want to stress more than anything else is you don't have to like it. I'm not telling you, Travis, you have to like anything.
That's fair.
Don't tell me I can't like it, and we're good.
That's
that's
fair.
how we should handle this. After Starrcast being what it was and being like the most feel good come together convention possibly that I've ever been to. Like it was amazing, the fan and wrestler interactions and how the wrestlers were genuinely happy to be there and be part of it. We really need to, as fans, try not to tell each other what we can and can't like. I mean, if you're a Shield fan and you like what WWE is doing, more power to you. I have legit issues with it. But if you like it, good for you, man. I mean,
I'm still trying to figure out how like Braun and co got enough stroke to get like the entirety of the heels to come out and beat up the Shield. Like I don't know. It didn't make any sense. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Braun told them if they didn't, they were going to get these hands.
Yeah, they were going to get these hands. Okay, that kind of makes sense. But then maybe you put that in the story.
You put that over.
You put that over.
Then that's
believable.
That's where commentary comes in, and I swear to God, the All-In commentary was fantastic. Having watched it, I thought
it was not bad. Like
Excalibur was amazing.
There was the natural production issues
that
you had, and this is something where they need to work on as they grow and continue to do this sort of thing. You can't have missed cues like they said they were going to Frankie Kazarian, they go to Nick Aldis.
Mm-hmm.
They can't have drops. They had a couple drops early on. And, well, since we're talking about it, you can't have guys going allegedly 20 minutes over their time when they're getting – I mean, it was, 11 minutes is the report that I'm seeing. I said 20. It's probably 11 is what I'm seeing. You can't have guys that are seasoned, experienced guys who are getting cues to go home, and they're sending, like, refs down from the back and saying, go home, you're screwing us, and they just – want to keep having a match. That's a huge problem. And if you haven't heard that, that's Okada and Marty.
Yeah.
They just blew their time limit. They pretty much disregarded all the cues, and it kind of screwed the main event match.
Mm-hmm. And see,
you can't do that. You can't have that.
I wonder how much of that explains the fact that Marty wasn't out there at the end of the show with everybody. Like the Elite was all out there after the show ended, and they were talking with all the fans, and the one guy who didn't come out, part of the group with Marty. So I wonder how much heat he has right now.
No, and this is one of those, Cody needs to take a page out of his dad's book. Could you see somebody just disregarding like go homes and then having to go back and face Dusty back in 82? Like that wouldn't have flown.
Maybe in the 90s when he was helping run WCW, but
nobody listened to anybody at WCW because there was no, there's no big
nobody
boss.
knew who to listen to.
This is why wrestling promotions fail. In my opinion, you've seen it over and over again when there is not a strong head to steer the ship. Why has WWF and E been so successful? Vince McMahon, love him, hate him, or otherwise, has the final say. So, like, there's somebody making decisions. And if you don't like his decision, that's fine. But that decision is, like, it's led to a lot of really good... You don't have stuff like that happen on a WWE pay-per-view because guys will lose jobs.
Yeah.
And it's just simple...
Well, not anymore. They just get buried and left off TV for the rest of their lives.
Which is almost worse.
Yeah.
Like, that's worse. Because... And we'll talk about this, like we're talking about like the opportunities that some of these other events and promotions are presenting the wrestlers, which is great. Like there's been no alternative to WWE for so long. Vince can bury you, so you can't do that. But you got to respect the other guy's time. Like I love Okada, I love Marty, I love that match. Like you can't do that to the other guys on the card. That's super disrespectful, man.
Yeah,
like that. I mean,
he was they put him in semi-main. Like he went on after Kenny and Penta, and they really did. The people he hurt were like the Bucks, and They're big. One of their big gets, Rey Mysterio, like that match.
Yeah.
You can't do that shit, man.
Yeah, you can't be pulling that, man. I mean, those guys are way too talented. They didn't need that extra 11 minutes. And it's like that in anything else. If you're like on a time-based thing and you're trying to work with people, and everybody's trying to do their best and trying to make something happen. This doesn't just apply to wrestling. I mean, this kind of applies to life. Like you're directly disrespecting your colleagues or your peers, because that's what they are, by taking that extra time. And it's not, again, the reports are, this wasn't just like they didn't notice. Like they were getting multiple cues and just disregarding them completely. That's a lack of professionalism. You can't do that. The match was great though. Like, I mean, that again, like we talk about the guys that were putting this over like too hard. I don't want to get too far away from that, because there was the other side, the WWE hacks, who are like, this is the worst show ever. So, I can't believe I got into a conversation. I don't want to say argument, but I did have to educate. I felt like educate this youngster. And when did I get old? Like, I look around, I just celebrated my 39th birthday. I don't feel
9
like
years ago.
Yeah, apparently. So somebody posts that they wouldn't pay. They can't believe that they're charging whatever they were charging. And again, I watched on Honor Club, so I don't know what the pay-per-view price was. Probably what, $30-$40?
Yeah, something nature.
$50,
like
something
you
like
could
that?
get the package for the entire weekend.
$100 for the entire
with
weekend.
like 100 and
but,
change or something at one
on
point.
Fight or something.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and
so,
it ended up getting you, like, if you did that pre-order where with 100 and something, you got like a $50 like framed like piece of the ring mat that they're going to mail you after the fact. Like there was a lot of perks to that.
There was a lot of deals. Anyway, there's a guy who was like, I wouldn't pay, he's like, I've got, the WWE only charges $9.99 a month. I wouldn't pay, $29.99 for this garbage, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, am I the only person that remembers paying $60 a month for a WWE pay-per-view? And then it turned into, okay, if we want to be fair, Mania was $59.95 and all the other pay-per-views were, $49.95 or $39.95. But we were paying that monthly if we wanted to watch it. And I looked at this guy, after I said it, I looked at his this was on a Facebook chat, on a Facebook group, and I looked and I was like, he's 23, so of course he doesn't remember it. Like, he doesn't remember having to pay every single month for pay-per-views. He's been a fan for like 3 years, and all he's ever really known is the network and his parents paying his cable bill. So
to be fair, I haven't paid $9.99 for the WWE Network in like 2 years because I tapped out.
Okay.
So I mean, it values value for whoever.
But again, this goes to, I don't want to hate on WWE. I don't want to. There's plenty we can criticize as fans that we like and don't like, things like that. But saying that the WWE Network isn't a tremendous value at $10 a month isn't genuine. It's really disingenuous to say, oh, it isn't worth it. It really is, just for the pay-per-views, even if you're only watching one pay-per-view every other month, because, pay-per-views used to be $30, $40, $50, $60 every single month. And then for some of us who've been watching wrestling long enough to remember two large promotions putting on pay-per-views pretty much every month, you were buying 2 pay-per-views a month. Like, you were buying
there was a lot of like, call up like your friends, your 5 buddies, and be like, all right, this month is your turn to buy this show.
We'd all throw in, 8 of us would get in and throw in $10 or whatever, and that'd buy our 2 pay-per-views for the month.
We were doing that. We were doing that into like my mid-20s. Like, I remember one very poorly planned evening where I had way too much to drink, and I had to have a buddy pick me up for WrestleMania because I was still a bit intoxicated when WrestleMania came around. And there was like a dozen people there, all of us like, hey, this is how we watch it. I also remember doing Buffalo Wild Wings
BW3 used to have watch parties where you'd go in and just camp out and eat BW3 and watch the pay-per-view. Like, that's where I watched. What was it? I don't even remember what it was. 05 or so, 04, some back in yonder. Scott Steiner, when he debuted his Big Papa Pump, came out and beat up Matt Hardy version 1 and Chris Nowitzki.
I remember being extremely excited for CM Punk versus Chris Benoit. That never happened at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Whoops.
Yeah, that was I have never been to a restaurant where that many people were going up to other tables asking people what the hell was going on.
And that was a lot of fun to go to those like events, and because you were all there, half 3/4 of the place was packed with wrestling fans. Y'all were popping with the crowd, and it was a lot of fun. It was a good time. But even now, I still Mania. I still have a big watch party for Mania, and it's a lot of fun, Why wouldn't you have a big watch party for Mania with all your friends? Even like
we need to have a 4 a.m. watch party for Wrestle Kingdom.
Nope. I said that in episode 1. I said it in the preview. I will not watch that live. I'm not staying up. I love New Japan. Love you, New Japan. I'll watch it in the morning when I get up.
You don't stay up for it. You go to bed early.
Nope. I'm not wired that way. Thank you very much. So, yeah, there's two sides to this coin. Like, there's people that are trying to put All In too far over, and there are people who are just arbitrarily hating on it. Okay,
so I want to share one of the worst things I've ever seen somebody say online. This is pretty bad.
Oh, the Charlotte Flair thing?
No.
Because I wanted to talk about that too. That was heinous. Some folks were continuously tagging Christopher Daniels in like responses of, well, All In isn't as good as Raw or SmackDown or X pay-per-view or Y pay-per-view from WWE. And he came out and simply asked, if you're going to, regardless of your thoughts on the show, if you're going to write about how it's not as good as a WWE product, be it Raw, SmackDown, or pay-per-view, and you're going to talk bad about the All In product that I was on, it was one of the best shows I was ever on, please don't tag me in your tweets. I mean, it's something that should be able for people to just read and be like, all right, cool. And then the internet trolls came.
So somebody replied to that while tagging people. Every name they tagged was, well, you sound a little bitter, Daniels. Is it because you could never get over in the WWE, just like Cody tried to get over in the WWE and failed, unlike his dad Dusty Rhodes and his brother Goldust? And freaking Cody's like, dude, not cool. Like, and the guy actually responded to Cody of like, no disrespect. I'm like, what do you think that was? So I mean, you brought up the guy's dead father, and I mean, come on, like, it's just no class at all.
Yeah, like the internet, because you can be anonymous, is full of crappy people. Like, that's just the way it is. And that sucks because like like I said, and my breakdown of the show, it was a very good show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would watch another one. I didn't think it was even close to being the best pay-per-view caliber show of the year, but it certainly was in the very good range. And that's credit because, this is a big step up for them. We should talk positively about this because it is an alternative. Why is there this sense that more wrestling is bad? Like this is good for us as fans. We like watching wrestling. Hey, I want more wrestling. So did I hate the dick spot? You're absolutely right. I hated the dick spot. Did you and I vastly disagree as we talk? We're going to talk a little bit about, we might as well talk about Cody and Aldis. I didn't think that was a great match. I thought it was a very good match. You being there thought it was great. And I can't argue with that because I can see like putting, saying, hey, I was there, having it, the perspective of being there and having the energy, and the outcome was great. And it was history, and it's really touching, and being a Dusty Rhodes fan and seeing Cody win that belt, and it's really great. But the match itself, in my mind, it felt like Cody and Aldis lacked that inherent chemistry needed to take it to that fifth gear level match. It just didn't hit that. It was very good. I enjoyed it. And I
felt similar. Not though in that they didn't have the chemistry. I agree they didn't take it to that fifth level, but I think it was I feel like it was by plan. It felt like they were going for a old school wrestling match with the old school psychology, and they didn't want it to be comparable to Kenny and Penta, or to Marty and Okada, which were both, taking that fifth level. I think they look to, pay homage to former champions, and that's why you had the Ric Flair spots. That's why you had that Brett and Stone Cold spot. They built it around the history of wrestling, and that's what I enjoyed about it. It was different than everything else on the show, in its pacing. It didn't pace like your standard indie match. Like, I mean, most of the time on the indies, guys are moving around pretty fast. They're trying to give you like a lot of the bigger spots, and I think this was very much of the classic wrestling style match. And I've heard, a handful of other podcasts say it since then, because I thought maybe after hearing your thoughts on it, I thought, well, maybe I'm just missing something. So, I checked out a few other shows on YouTube, and it seems like that's exactly what they were going for, at least from reports, and that's what some people have been, reviewing it as. So I think maybe it's just the way you look at it, and depending on what your expectations were.
Maybe, and I guess, I don't know. It just, sometimes you look at something and it doesn't meet your expectations. But again, I'm not hating on it. I enjoyed the match. Like, I thought it was a very good match. And I thought it was, historical moment, the tie-in, the championship, the switch, all these things. Both of those guys are incredibly hateable because they have the wives that they do. So,
to be fair, I think Cody could have just, dropped trow and took a dump in the ring, and people would have cheered it this weekend.
That's probably true. That's why he can't be the top heel this year. He's just, but really, could either one of those guys be a loser when they go home to those wives? Like, they have two just absolutely lovely, fantastic examples of wrestling.
I didn't catch it
royalty.
when I watched it on Honor Club. I didn't catch it, but there was some folks up in the floor seats that were chanting Mickey's husband at Aldis.
Oh, so good.
Oh, man.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. No, congratulations to Cody, though, and Aldis for, really spearheading the revival. Billy Corgan buying the NWA and, letting Aldis work with that belt and run with the belt, and, making the decision to switch it and have that historical moment, having, Dusty's kid capture that belt. It'll be interesting to see where it goes and where they take this story and how they continue to develop the NWA.
We got a lot of wrestling coming up in the next month or so, man.
Yeah, there's a ton of it just seems to never end now. Like, there's always something. So
I mean, you got two big New Japan shows, a big Ring of Honor show, a big NWA show, two WWE pay-per-views. Like,
it's a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed that match. I really liked the Kenny Penta match. I know, again, probably my big criticism. I got the Penta slogan was a little too much done. It was a little too overdone.
The fans live loved that. It
was good.
I didn't get it. Okay, so the show, I can say this. The show was booked for the people who were at that show. The majority of people at that show were chanting "Rest in Penis." They were chanting the Penta quote. They were behind. They were chanting "Yoga, yoga, yoga" at DDP when he came out. Like the people at the show knew this show was booked for them, and they enjoyed like every single thing that was given to them.
There's nothing wrong with it. And I'm not saying, like,
which is nice for a change.
I would say, like, I love that match. It was just, that was my one cry. I was like, okay, like the 32nd time you did it, like, okay, we're getting to the point where and I said that, my criticism of
doesn't it mean something like no fear or something of that nature?
Zero fear.
Zero fear.
Yeah. So
I mean, in that context,
it'll sound ridiculous.
Yeah, in that context, I guess it makes sense him saying it like when a dude hits him with something, but
it loses its impact when you do it so
no pun intended.
much. Like the first few times, like, fine, yeah, it made sense. It's great. It's awesome, but again, eventually it's gonna kind of run its course, and you're gonna overdo it. But a really strong match. I mean, Okada and Skrull was a great match, but
if not a little long.
We we talked about that. I felt sorry for the 6-man because they got cut short, because that was enjoyable. I was really enjoying it, and then all of a sudden, bing bang boom, they go home.
Yeah, we were like, people in the audience were like, "Wait, what just happened?
What just happened?"
Yeah,
and then like we got like the announcers weren't even done closing the show when the pay-per-view feed cut. So like that tells you how like that's the thing that they're going to have to fix.
Yep.
Like that as you grow and try to do these things.
Also
and do
a
them
possibility of trying to get a run over time. WWE seems to have that in their pay-per-views constantly. They either end like earlier than you'd expect or later than you'd expect.
Well, and now, with the network, they can just keep going.
Yeah.
Like, so they don't
Well, they're
care.
on pay-per-view still, too. So, I mean,
yeah.
But Fight TV could have kept going as well with cameras, but I don't
I don't understand. Like, I don't get it either. It had to have been something to do. And a lot of that, I have a feeling, is building contract.
Yeah.
Because, especially in Chicago, like where 90% of even though it wasn't in Chicago, still it's a lot of union there.
So apparently the ring crew guys were a bit concerned as to why they had an armed guard standing watch as they took apart the ring, and it's because Cody wanted to make sure nobody tried to abscond the canvas because they were doing those.
The canvas giveaway. They didn't. They wanted to fulfill their obligation,
which I think's a fantastic story. When the ring crew's like, why are there armed guards here?
Somebody was going to try and take that canvas. That was a really awesome looking canvas.
Man, I was thinking of bribing someone at the arena to give me some Okada bucks off the stage. They dropped one section over from us. I was so sad.
Yeah, it was. So you put it over like coming out of the show. You like went crazy, and I said it was a very good show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd watch another one.
I lost my voice completely this weekend.
Yeah, back in time for the show. Maybe that extra hour of technical issues did you good. I guess. In hindsight, and this is just kind of throwing it out there, what could have been. Could you imagine how good this show would have been, like, 18 months or 2 years ago? With that, like, before, what is now the Undisputed Era had gone to NXT if they were available. And I mean, like, I think then if they would have had all that,
Nakamura had been available, and AJ Styles,
and that's
absolutely.
That's a what if. Like, I like playing what ifs, but I like, oh man, like then it probably would have been the best show of the year. But it was for the indies, quote unquote, the indies having a continual major talent gut, just over the last 2 years. It's really a credit to the guys who are staying and what they are doing to put on high caliber shows like this.
I think that's why we didn't get it before. Like, you couldn't have, because every time like you got a Wrestle Kingdom 9, WWE would poach talent. You got a Wrestle Kingdom 10, WWE would poach some talent. You'd have these big shows and the WWE would say, all right, well, here are their top guys, let's pick them up, and then they have to start all over and start rebuilding. And this is just one of those situations where
guys aren't leaving.
The Bucks and Kenny have not left, and Cody has, he came down and brought a lot of history and a lot of know-how from his time in WWE, as well as his time watching his dad do things. And because of that, they were able to do this kind of show, and they were able to bring in guys who you aren't seeing on pay-per-views, like Joey Janela, and help put them over as veterans. And they brought in, then because of Cody knowing the people, they had guys like Billy Gunn on the show, and Road Warrior Animal show up because they can make those calls, which I don't know if AJ Styles and Adam Cole Bebe had any kind of pull with any kind of like the older guys. So I mean,
it's super interesting to have a guy like Cody who came up through the WWE system and then left to go kind of find himself and really grow. He's given so many interviews where he talked about it was the best thing for him leaving. He left the right way, and he's able to go and continue to grow and continue to learn more about himself and who he wants to be in the ring and all those things. it's amazing. Like, it's amazing to see everything that he's doing. And he does still have a lot of those connections. He can make things happen, so kudos to all those guys. They deserve all the credit in the world for pulling off that show. And man, rumor is they're already talking about locations for a next one.
So I may have tweeted at Cody something of, I bet you can't sell out the Soldier Field with a winky face. Hashtag all in two.
That would be a little, that Soldier Field's probably a little ambitious.
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying United Center maybe. Like, I mean,
I'm just saying, like, somebody needs to sell out Soldier Field. You have a giant convention center, like half a dozen hotels, a football stadium, and then a college basketball arena, all within like a couple miles.
It's a little industrious, though.
I'm like that's a WrestleMania spot there. Even
50,000's a little industrious. Like we've done 11. We've seen 11.
Yep.
Now we're gonna see 16.
As fast as that sold out, they can double.
They could probably that's what United 22.
Yep.
22,000 at United Center.
United Center's in the middle of freaking nowhere.
Well, I'm just saying that size of an arena. It doesn't have to be United.
Yeah.
I would think it needs to be in a town that supports wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be in a travel hub with a major international airport.
Yep.
So you're talking Chicago, you're talking Dallas,
Atlanta.
Atlanta might be an option. And that's.
I think you really need to keep it off the coast.
Right in the middle. Like I'm sorry, coast folks. Like. It's easier, when you start putting
coast folks get enough stuff.
Well, when you start putting things on the coast, it makes it prohibitive for the other coast to travel there.
Yep. You can Chicago, you can get most of your major airports, you can get a flight without a layover into Chicago.
Yeah, like that's why I said Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta.
Yeah.
Those are big ones. They're centrally located, be it north or south. So we'll see, we'll be definitely keeping a keen eye on
wherever it is. If they do Starrcast in conjunction, they're going to need a bigger convention center.
Yeah. So you were there for the entire shebang.
Yep. We got a video of the vendor area, which as you can see if you watch it, not super large vendor area, so that's something that could be expanded upon if they had a bigger convention center.
Yeah. So how you got to meet? Obviously, you saw a lot of the pictures in the opening slideshow.
A whole lot of people who you just walk up and you're like, "Hey, what's up?" And if we were at the point where we were bigger and had our press credentials, I probably would have got a bunch of
goals,
small interviews and things of that nature. But
goals,
it's one of the things where when you walk up and you see DDP in the hallway, you don't want to take too much of the dude's time, but you want to make sure to get across how appreciative you are of not just his wrestling career, but what he's done outside of it.
So it was Wednesday night when you were checking into the hotel, or was it Thursday night when you were on the phone? You're like, "Oh, hey." And you're like, "Oh, it's Bruce Pritchett." And I'm like, of course it is, because I'm a complete mark for Brother Love.
Thursday night, we'll use in the microwave. Just comes walking by, and
so Bob was lucky enough. He booked early. He was on the fourth floor, which is apparently where they were stashing
pretty much
talent.
Anybody who booked early got on that fourth floor. So if you booked, if you planned, you bought your tickets to All In and you booked. You ended up on that floor, and that's where that's the floor for the convention originally was just supposed to be on that floor. Now I believe there were people on floor 3 and 2 for the convention. It ended up selling way over what the hotel expected. Then that's why rooms kept opening up as it kept going through, and people were like, "How come rooms are opening up?" And a lot of people were moving from one hotel over to this one because I don't think the hotel expected it, but.
And
it was a full takeover.
That's a big hotel too. That is it was at the Hyatt out there in Schaumburg.
And they even had to put a tent outdoors, an air conditioned tent, for some of the podcast stuff because there weren't enough rooms inside the hotel.
That's a big hotel, guys. If you've never been there, I've been to conventions there before. Wow.
I kind of felt bad for the stewardesses who had their rooms booked and didn't realize there was a convention that weekend,
Whoops.
and they're coming in with their luggage, trying to roll it through like a crowd of wrestling fans standing in line, and I'm
that
like,
sucks.
oh man. I'm like, I feel bad for you ladies.
Poor flight attendants. Oh no. Oh man. Yeah. So you had a pretty good time. There were you did have some unkind things to say about some of the staff / volunteers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I think so. So the folks who were running the desk were amazing. Every time I had a question, they had an answer. Every time I had a criticism, they took it to heart and said, hey, we'll mention it. We'll make sure to bring that up at the staff meeting tomorrow. They were really good. And I think overall people were really impressed with those guys. Unfortunately, a lot of people in staff shirts didn't know what was going on and where. And at the same time, so they have these boards next to the rooms, which are updated. They're like a LED board. It's updated with the what's going on in that room. But when you have a line of people lined up against the wall, you can't see those boards. You can't even see what the name of the rooms are. And beyond that, some stuff was being moved, and trying to track down what was being moved where, because they've had not only location issues, but for some reason Kota Ibushi was flying out early Sunday morning, and they had him originally booked to do his autograph session like Sunday, like at 10. And so that didn't work. So they had to move his time. And then Rey Mysterio and all the guys flying in on Mexico got in late. So then they had to bump theirs back an hour. So there were just little things like that were a little bit difficult. And the lack of communication, they were trying to communicate, like text each other and such. And everybody was so busy, no one was checking their phones.
So,
walkies, man.
So,
I can't speak more highly of the idea of getting walkies.
I run a non-wrestling related convention that is much smaller. Much smaller. I mean, it kind of tops out about 300 people. At least that's where we've topped out. Bob's on staff there.
And we would have been screwed if we didn't have walkies.
And even a convention of our size, we have walkie-talkies for all our, like, everybody who's on duty in their assigned shift is on a walkie-talkie. And I was floored to hear that a convention that had turned into something this big had not had the forethought to make sure that the on-duty staff had walkie-talkies, because cell phones are great, but cell phones are only great to a point. Like, you can't ignore a walkie-talkie when it's chirping at you. Yeah, you can shut it off, but then, if your staff is shutting off their walkie-talkie, that's already a problem. They probably shouldn't be on your staff. Yeah. That's neither here nor there. And I know overall the feelings, at least what I'm seeing get posted about Starrcast, was it was a really good time, and it was something that they could grow on. I know, unconfirmed, allegedly, Conrad has said that he's not doing this again. Yeah, allegedly. Like, that was rumbling through the halls. Right,
I've heard a handful of people mention that. I've heard people talking to each other about it. I don't know. Like,
please.
At one point, somebody mentioned Conrad's hiding in one of the back rooms, and he said he's never doing this again. And I'm like, geez, like.
So give him a week. Give him a week to take a breath, because I've been there. Even again, my smaller convention going experience. There comes a point where I'm like, why am I effing doing this?
Well, it was on Saturday when the NWO, Rey Mysterio, and Kenny and Kota were all booked on top of each other because they had to move stuff around. So I could see that being a time of saying, I'm done.
It was tough things, and running a convention is basically crisis management. Yeah, that's what you do. Well, from the time you start, till the time it ends, you're a crisis manager. And so give him a week, but give him some love, man. He, don't be afraid to say, hey, this didn't go right. Convention owners and producers need to know that, but there's a way to do it. Don't be like, you effed up my weekend, blah, blah, blah. Unless your weekend was just garbage.
Yeah, and I don't know how it could be with that
again.
convention.
That's what I'm hearing.
I mean,
that's what everybody's saying is like, well, there were some trying logistical issues that would hopefully be improved with the second convention and experience, that people overwhelmingly enjoyed the weekend and got their money's worth.
This might be a good time. We got a video there we can cut to here. And this will show how crazy things can be when you're at the. There it is. So that right there, which bring it up on the.
Why don't you tell me what we're looking at, Bob?
Well, so we're at the WrestleCraft booth. Yeah. Kind of talking to those guys because first actual podcasters who were at Wrestling Guys.
Yeah, very cool.
That's awesome. And former WCW champion there just kind of comes up talking to him. And if you can make that out,
I can't. And if it's what I think, I'm gonna.
There you go.
Die in a fight.
that's former WCW World Heavyweight Champion David Arquette.
Die in a fire, Bob.
And hold on, but not just David Arquette there. You got David Arquette standing there with Katie Vick and the head of the Gobbledygooker. So
that is. You know what? That is the epitome of wrestling.
Yeah, and
I can't even hate on
and
that.
This is like Sunday, like we're getting ready to bounce, and I just decided to take another walk around the room and talk to people, and I was like, holy crap, like I cannot believe that like David Arquette just walked over, and after that video, we just kind of we chatted, and I asked him if he's seen Paige that weekend. He's like, yeah, I seen Dallas, and I'm like, well, did you tell him a diamond upside down is a pussy? And he's like, no, we don't use that line anymore. And I'm like, oh, this is great, like just. Random stuff like that, and I just happened to get it on video.
That's fun, though. That's cool. So thank you for bringing me stuff I don't really like. But that is the epitome. That is the epitome of WrestleCraft.
So if there was a triple threat match between David Arquette, New Jack, and Joey Ryan's penis, who you got?
Hopefully the ring collapsing and the building imploding.
So Braun Strowman.
Anybody who comes in and just absolutely crushes all three of them. Jesus. Anyway, guys. So, yeah, man, it was a good weekend for you. I'm glad, if I have to hear one more time about, you gotta go if they do it again. Yes, I know, Bob.
Keep this in mind. Everybody who wants to hate on people's experience, keep this in mind. Nobody left that pay-per-view upset with any of the matches or upset with any of the finishes. Everybody left happy, and everybody went back to a hotel and partied.
True.
And they didn't just party; they partied with some of those wrestlers. They were getting photos with the Blue Meanie. They were hanging out with DDP, Brian Pillman Jr., Shannon Moore was hanging around, Macaulay Culkin, Shane Helms. These guys were all just hanging out at the after party.
And having a blast.
Rocking out to some good music, and I mean Downstate was playing, and those guys are awesome as well. I got to meet them and talk to them. It was definitely a situation where the fans and the wrestlers got to hang out, and it was crazy. So, Victoria Tara, we see her all the time when we go to Chicago to the Squared Circle. And so I see her walking through the hallway, and people are like, oh, it's Victoria. And this is on Thursday, just before check-in. And I was like, hey, lady. And she's like, oh, my God. And she comes over, and we talk. And I'm like, I missed your face. And she's like, oh, my God, I miss seeing you guys. And, we have this moment. And then all throughout the weekend, we kept, passing each other. And we'd wave. And it was, super friendly. And to have that kind of experience with people who you've watched and enjoyed their work, and be able to even just have a couple minutes, even just the moment where I got to Eric Bischoff was cool enough while I was leaving the room to just let me come over and get a 2 Sweet. That those moments are really cool. It makes you want to see more of these guys.
As a fan, it's hard to hate on stuff like that when you're a part of it.
Yep.
For sure. And I don't get the two opposing sides. If you had, again, like me, I'm very critical of the dick moment, the dick spot, but I still found a way to enjoy the pay-per-view, and saying it was a very good pay-per-view. One thing does not a show make.
Yes.
So, yeah, I guess we're kind of looking forward to seeing. What's Jericho Cruise is next, right? Like, I mean, in terms of like you got the Jericho Cruise, and then I know there's a lot of shows in between, but I'm saying Jericho Cruise and then MSG show, right? I got that right.
The big deals, yeah. I think
those
so.
are the two big. I mean, not that there aren't other really high end. And speaking of Jericho, wow, maybe we got the run in and on TV it was really obvious who it was because you could see his arm tattoo.
Yeah, I'm glad like they produced it well for TV, because like we're in the stadium and the lights go out and they come on and we're like, all right, and we're looking around and we're like, okay, we thought that was a spot, but like I don't see anything that's happened.
Wait a second.
And then he gets up and we're like. And I'm like, wait a minute.
That's a white dude.
That's a white dude. Yeah. And someone else is like, who the hell is that? And I'm like, I don't know. And so then he hits Kenny and pulls that mask off, and like people lost their minds.
Know. Like it was super easy. Like when he turned, there was a moment where like he got up, and you're like they had the camera on him, and you're like, okay, it's something with oh, that's not Penta. Oh, that's Jericho. Look at the arm tattoo. Yep. So you knew it was coming. Right as it was happening, if you saw that, you could tell like what was going on. And then he pulled the hood off, obviously, and it was still, that's when the crowd popped. So, but word on the street is, we're going to get some, Impact as Jericho.
That's the word right now. My hope is that I know that they haven't announced any kind of broadcast of the Jericho Cruise. I'm hoping that at very least they have cameras there to release it onto something later, even if it's like a DVD release I had to buy through High Spots or something.
Yeah,
like there are some matches there I want to see, and it's just it was too close to everything else, and airfare, a night in a hotel room beforehand. It's an expensive trip to do, with a child, and it's just it too close to Starrcast to try to make that work financially. And it obviously it's with that airfare and such as well. It's not really a drive-to trip. So we went with Starrcast and All-In, and then the MSG show instead. And I'm just kind of bummed that this one might not have the matches viewable elsewhere, because I really would like to.
Yeah, I would imagine somebody's going to have a camera running. I can't not see that not getting out somehow. Live is probably a logistical nightmare on a cruise ship
and international waters.
Yeah. But live, some sort of tape, I can see that happening. Another big one, they announced the Death Before Dishonor card. Have you seen this, Bob?
I have not. What's on the Death Before Dishonor card?
What are you reaching for your drink? Just get your drink. Just lean off camera. Just go off camera. I will carry the show.
my voice is starting to go again, man.
Right.
I need to.
So you've got King v. Liger. So that has the potential to be full of the high spotty goodness. Sabin is challenging Martinez for the TV title. And you know what? This isn't the full card. See, now I got to look look like an idiot. I thought I pulled up the right.
Yeah, I seen Liger was going to be there.
There we go. Why? See. I had it bookmarked, but I bookmarked the wrong one. So, I'm a bad kid, folks. I'm a bad kid. So.
Hey, at least our microphones work.
This is true. So, well, here's the updated card. Haha. Women of Honor Championship match.
That's Tennille Dashwood's got a shot, right?
Dashwood's getting her shot. So, I guess
awesome.
Punishment Martinez, Chris Sabin, and then you have the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships to be defended. The Briscoes versus the Addiction, and this was the one that caught my eye was Ring of Honor Championship match. Black Machismo. No, it's probably Jay Lethal, but Jay Lethal versus Will Ospreay.
Nice.
That's gonna be good. That should be fun to watch.
Well,
so
the Will Ospreay Flip Gordon match I seen in Chicago at War of the Worlds last year was amazing. And I've shown that is my match I show friends who don't watch wrestling. They're like friends who are like, ugh, pro wrestling, I can't believe you watch that stuff. I'm like, dude, sit down and watch this. And I put that match on and they're like, holy crap, that's amazing. Because those two guys are like high spot machines. And that match was one of the best matches I've been to live. I mean, it was fantastic.
So that's good. We've got a ton of stuff coming up. In terms of.
So have you heard about the WWE shows and their ticket sales?
I don't know. I may have missed this.
So it's being reported. Meltzer's reporting that Hell in the Cell did not sell out like it usually does when tickets go on sale. There's actually tickets in every section still available for that show. And it looks like the Women's Evolution is selling so poorly that they are not going to sell out without papering.
Wow.
So that's big news.
Where is Evolution at? Like I haven't even looked. Let me look that up. I didn't look what city it was in.
Is it Greensboro?
I'm not sure. Like I hadn't planned on really talking about Evolution yet.
I mean, I just heard this last night, and I was kind of shocked.
But no, it's in Jersey. It's Nassau Veterans
Okay, yes,
Memorial.
at Nassau.
So what? New York, Jersey, that area.
Which I mean is why, which is why Meltzer was like, it's going to sell out, but you're going to need to paper it. And I'm like, wow.
That's well, some of that's like the booking, I think.
Well, even at All In, women match started and a lot of people got up and went to the bathroom. Like a woman comes out the curtain and a lot of these people are wearing your WWE merch. They weren't like your straight up indie fans. I just wonder how if there's a detriment still this idea in WWE that these women matches are the bathroom break matches.
Well, they were convinced, they were conditioned for so long that the divas, no offense to the women who worked in the divas era, they were kind of conditioned that they were, let's not forget, somebody posted what it was like 10 years ago or whatever, you were having bra and panties matches
and you look at the card, they're bringing back those wrestlers. I mean, you have Trish and Lita and Mickey, and then the Bellas who are more who are divas at the end of the diva division run.
At least with
so you wonder if maybe people are just like, all right,
at least
diva
with
matches.
Trish and Lita, like they main evented Raw. Yeah. They were workers.
Exactly.
That was
I'm not taking away from any of the. But I'm just saying they were part of that era, and wonder if there's still that.
There is
stigma.
that. Yeah, like the women are amazing workers, and it's a shame. Like, and I think that they're haphazardly putting this pay-per-view together because like. The matches that are getting like thrown out there, I'm like, okay, like maybe that'll be, but it's like, it's a lot of these legend type people coming back for one-offs or whatever. There's not really super compelling storylines being developed yet because WWE waits till the last minute to do everything.
I mean, why not have why did they put the Daniel Bryan and Miz versus Brie Bella, or Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella versus Miz and Maurice match on Hell in a Cell and not on this women's show?
Because then you have to have a guy on the show, like, and they don't want to do that, and I can respect
that.
Mean, but I don't.
If they did a show today without the women on, I don't need that match. In Saudi Arabia.
I don't need that match. I don't need that match at Hell in a Cell either.
Well, I know.
I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah. All right. I watched the Total Bella stuff because I like Daniel Bryan. I think he is a quirky guy and he's entertaining to watch. That's why I watch it. The Miz and Miz's show is funny altogether because Miz is a goofball and Maurice is a bit of a goofball herself, which I find refreshing because she's gorgeous and she's silly, and I'm like, well, that's awesome. But I don't need to see them wrestle in a feud that's based around their reality TV show stuff. I don't. Like I can watch that separate from WWE, and that's back to the Joey Ryan thing. I don't want to keep keep bringing up the dick wrestler, but he came out not in a match and didn't wrestle a match and didn't freaking like put something that, you know, on a pay-per-view that with a match that I didn't need to see. And this is one of those examples. They have another outlet for their reality stars.
Yeah, I guess. Like I don't need it anyway. So, yeah, it's a shame to hear that the ticket sales are going so poorly for Evolution. So, since we're talking about the women's division, we were talking about heinous individuals on the internet. Did you see the tweet at Charlotte?
I did not.
Oh man, like, so this is really like scumbaggy behavior. Some random guy that then promptly deleted his Twitter account because he got assailed. Yeah, his Twitter account's gone.
That's what should always happen to douches on the Twitters.
Twittered at Charlotte saying that the wrong Flair child died back on, and posted the date, and that like pretty much like attacked her for being a wrestler. And she really showed how like good of a human being she was. She was like, wow, I am sorry that you even think this way. Like, holy crap.
Meanwhile, you know, Hollywood's like, oh, all these toxic Star Wars fans, right? And I'm like, man, these people exist in any fandom.
There's toxic everything. Like, especially when you get to hide behind like fake screen names. Yep. And you can just be, you know, mean and hateful, and you know, you're probably, you know, you're living, you know, in working a crappy job that you hate, and you know, you got a girlfriend you don't particularly like, but you can't do any better, you know, and you're just you got a mean dog that nips at you, like all the like the stereotypical, like he hates his life, so he's got to take it out on somebody else.
Yep.
And it's just, I was like, man, there are some scummy people out there, but that's all right. Like, she handled it like a boss, and people were like,
so
wow.
She handled it like Sasha.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
Like, man, like, all of a sudden his Twitter was just gone. Gone.
Fantastic.
No more Twitter.
No.
What should happen?
Does it look like Twitter like stepped in, or did he just was like?
No,
I
think he just deleted his Twitter when he got. Because she like replied to it, and I don't think he expected that. And then people started like shitting all over him, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, I don't think that dude expected Cody to reply either, with his immediate response of like, "No disrespect,
no disrespect." So
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disrespect you by talking about your dead father.
Is there really like WWE is just plodding along like that? It's everybody versus the Shield again. Roman, hey, you know what? Credit to Vince. It's working. Like, a majority of the crowd was popping for the Shield.
It was.
I mean, it was
in
tertiarily. They're getting Roman over. This is what they should have done the first.
It was in Columbus, Ohio. Roman had cheers in Columbus, Ohio last time they were there without the Shield.
But it was more. It was more. It's moving in the right direction for Vince. I'm not saying credit to them. They're making it, but did you see what happened?
As soon as they show up in a major wrestling city, they'll be back to booing.
I don't know. It'll be
there were some funny people at Starrcast. There were a couple of guys that just started out really funny, and then it got just irritating, who decided to troll like for an entire evening, and they're sitting there at like the bar and ooh-ah! Ooh-ah! And I'm it gets to about like 1 o'clock, and I'm like, all right, you can stop now. You've been doing this since 10.
It's a little. Seth though, in that spot where they got locked up, he tore up his arm, man.
There's talk that he might be seriously injured, and I'm thinking like as soon as I seen him
like chopped meat.
Well, as soon as I seen him go off, I'm like, and hit the window, and I seen the window break. I flash back to Goldberg, and I'm like, holy crap, are they getting the Shield over again just in time for one of them to go out injured like they did last time? Like, is this seriously that cursed? Like, is it just like cosmic awareness out there that like Roman can't ever get over, and that like as soon as he starts to, they need to take away like anything that gets him like positive responses, because last time they did this, Ambrose went out injured. So, and I mean, maybe that speaks to WWE needing to come up with a different storyline rather than as soon as the guy comes back from injury going right back to what you were doing before.
Karma. I don't know, man, but it does look like a lot of it was superficial. I don't want to diminish because
I hope so, because
it looked gnarly. It looked like one of those injuries that's going to hurt for weeks, but it didn't look like anything that was super debilitating.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, speedy recovery to Seth, man, because that Instagram photo was making the rounds, and I was like, ouch. That looks painful.
Hey, WWE, quit throwing people into cars.
Yeah. I went through.
You don't see New Japan or Ring of Honor throwing people into cars.
Well, you don't need to. But and what the hell is up with? So Kevin Owens quits for 6 days.
Well, yeah, CM Punk only quit for a week and a half.
At least it was a week and a half. It was 6 days.
And even when he quit for a week and a half, he still showed up to C2E2 to freaking troll Rey Mysterio Jr. at the WWE press conference. So I mean,
well, but that
was supposed to be their huge summer's pay-per-view storyline.
I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't get it.
There's no long builds in WWE.
I don't get it.
Though speaking of crazy stuff in matches where people could get seriously injured, that Joey Janela and Hangman spot off the ladder,
dude.
People in our section at least were just.
It looked gnarly.
We were like, he's not going to hit it. It's going to be reversed. And then it didn't, and everybody was just everybody's hands were over their mouth, not making any sound, are they moving?
There were a few spots, a few of those bumps that Janela took. I was like, damn. What do you say? Oh man.
Oh, and then I seen a great somebody posted a GIF of with Penelope. Is that her name? His
Penelope Ford,
Penelope
right?
Ford.
Yeah,
Yes. Of her hitting that stunner and then doing those Trish Stratus Matrix moves, and somebody replied, wow, she just did more moves in that 30 seconds than Roman's done in his career. And I was like, oh my God.
That's funny.
And it was on a WWE forum, so that's
funny.
Super funny.
That's really funny, not going to lie. Yeah. So, I don't know, there's not a lot building up for Hell in a Cell that I'm excited about. AJ and Joe, right? That's pretty much it. That's the only one I'm really excited for. I
was excited Mike Kanellis got on Raw this week. That was cool.
Well, that's something.
Yeah.
That's something different. I don't know.
About time they used him for something.
We'll see if the trend continues.
Another thing we can mention here, which I'm sure you probably haven't followed this at all because you're not really the gamer, but WWE's taking their time announcing their roster this year for their WWE 2K game. Last year it came out in middle of August, and they still haven't fully announced the roster yet. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's interesting. They've got a handful of people out, but they had the full roster middle of August last year. So a lot of people are concerned about that, and I guess we'll have to keep an eye, see if they finally release that. Maybe we can talk about it.
I guess we should mention there was a tag team title change, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you did have that, which you knew the B team wasn't going to hold on to those titles for that long.
Yep.
It was time to make a switch. So,
it's nice to see some gold on McIntyre.
I guess. What are they going to do with it? Because next thing you know, they're going to be Rusev, and they're going to be they'll drop something. And
they were saying that the plan moving forward is to have Braun lose at Hell in the Cell, and then have Roman have a long title run, and part of that long title run will be a feud against Drew McIntyre. And I don't want to see a long Roman title run.
Well,
I don't want to see Braun lose. There's no reason. So Braun's got the briefcase. If he cashes in and loses, that's 2 years in a row we have a cash in and a loss, which is dumb.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't cash in and loses, what stops him from just cashing in at any point? Why are we dropping this? It's obvious he said he's going to cash in and use it. Why isn't he just going to cash in? Why wouldn't he just cash in again the next month and say, I'm going to cash in? Why are we ending... why would he have one match, lose, and end it? There's no story for that.
I don't know. It's something I'm not. Look, man, they've managed to, they got Braun over as the perfect babyface, monster babyface.
Yep.
Butt kicking, catch line having babyface, and then they go and turn him heel and ruin it.
Kind of like Becky Lynch.
Yeah, but like Becky isn't really heel. Becky's like Stone Cold. She's like woman's Stone Cold right now.
Which, I'm good with.
I'm good with it. Like, it's good stuff. Like, so, but this is like they're really trying to make Braun a heel.
Yep.
So you have a face, which is something that you've desperately tried to create on numerous occasions in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Because it's been hard to do.
Yep.
And then you organically get one, so you switch him heel.
Yeah. You have like two super over faces right now, one on Raw and one on SmackDown, and you turn one of them heel. And I'm like,
doesn't
why?
make any sense.
And then you have a super over face woman on SmackDown who you tried to
force her heel. Nah, then the crowd's just
and
like,
nah. And yet they refuse to turn Roman heel. And I don't.
Nah.
You would think they could figure this stuff out. They've turned Big Show like 3 dozen times. You'd think they get this.
The Big Show flip switch.
Yeah.
He's got that built-in switch.
They should just hire Big Show to write the heel turns.
Huh?
That Big Show heel turn specialist. Yes. Be fine. I mean, Natty should be able to tell them how to do it too. I mean, they turn.
Yeah, she's the female equivalent of Big Show at this point, right? They just keep flip-flopping her back and forth. And
Yep.
to the point where people are like, I don't know, but whatever. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to AJ and Joe storyline progressing. I still think we get Joe with the title now at some point with winning with the Muscle Buster. I think that's what we're building to now.
So, I love AJ and Joe, and I just am having a hard time getting super, super excited for it because we've seen so much of it everywhere else already. And, I mean, it's going good so far. We'll see if they can continue to have, like, really good matches without, like, WWE somehow screwing that up. But I just feel like I enjoyed their stuff in ROH. I enjoyed their stuff in TNA. I've seen it so often that it's that thing where WWE, I mean, even though it's fresh for WWE, it's still like, old news to me, just like most of your WWE feuds are. And it's unfortunate because those guys are really good, and I'm desperately trying to, like, get more excited about it.
Yeah, I like the fact that they're making it super personal. That makes it way easier to get into, like where there's like this personal beef, and it's it's going to be really dramatic and heated between the two guys. So like that makes it super easy to get into for me. Yeah, we've seen it a lot, but it has been a minute. They were smart enough not to put these guys together immediately when they both came in. Mm-hmm. So that's a bonus. So it has been a couple of years.
I really want to see like AJ Seth Rollins. I really want to see some more AJ Ziggler, like in like now that Ziggler's actually being used somewhat correctly. AJ McIntosh, like there's a lot of these guys on Raw I'd love to see against AJ. There's a lot of guys on Raw I'd like to see against Joe, and I think just the bummer that like I'm seeing something I've already seen rather than that, and their match is going to be good, and I'm sure I'll end up enjoying it, but the build to it is just going to be kind of to me because I've already seen the AJ, your wife and kids want you at home. AJ, you're cheating on your wife on the road with some woman and she's having your baby. Like I've seen this story, and then they did the AJ is cheating on his wife with Dixie Carter story. So they've done this like AJ having family issue story 3 times over in TNA, I've seen all 3 times. So the personal aspect hasn't done as much for me as it has for you, I guess.
Yeah, I think that sums up. We should maybe touch on some just random news and notes that's bumping around.
Absolutely.
Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yep.
Reported 500,000 in merch.
Oh yeah. So we arrived, and there were the merch stand at each side of the arena, and the line crisscrossed at the entrance point. And during I waited until the pre-show pretty much started to go get in line, because the line had cut down way over half by that point. And I stood in line for the entirety of the All-In pre-show. The entirety of it. Like, I came back as Flip took the mask off. Like I got back just in time for the Flip Gordon reveal. And when I got to the table, they only had 2 shirts left in 3Xs. They were sold out of a couple of them in every size. They were sold out of all the hats. They had a few that they only had mediums left. Like they sold out of, like, before All In started, they had a majority of their merch at that merch stand sold out. And I was just shocked. And they had quite a few. They had like 4 t-shirt designs. They had a hoodie. They had a snapback hat, plush bear. Trying to think what else they had. They had, I think they had some kind of poster or something as well. They had quite a few things, and it was just a situation of everybody wanted to bring something home from this event. And I think they did a poor job advertising that you were getting these pieces of canvas. We actually talked about it at Starrcast with some folks who were complaining about, well, I bought platinum, what am I getting? Because one of the problems was there oftentimes wasn't a separate line for platinum holders to get in early to stuff, which is how those kind of high-level badges are supposed to work and how they advertise them. And all the autographs I purchased on site, I paid full price for. I didn't get a 15% discount like they mentioned that all these tables were giving to platinum members. So a lot of people were concerned of what they were getting for the price of this. And I had mentioned, I'm like, I seen at one point the All-In Twitter said something that we were going to get part of the ring canvas. But then I seen it advertised for Fight TV's thing.
Yeah. And
then I seen it again once announced by Starrcast that we were going to get it. And then that was a month out. And then I didn't hear anything about it again. So then after the show, we're back here in Michigan, and they put out a post a couple nights ago where they announced that everybody who had that platinum badge was going to get a piece of the canvas. And that's awesome. And that's a good bonus for that extra cost. But I think they did a poor job getting that across.
Yeah, that goes back to the logistical issues.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
then again, I mean, social media guy was doing stuff that wasn't social media.
Quadruple duty. So, But, Pro Wrestling Tees made a mint. It's they're reporting $500,000. Merch sold like crazy all weekend.
Yep.
What Culture Wrestling? You got to meet Simon, right?
Oh, every time I turned around, I was bumping into Simon.
What Culture Wrestling did an interview with Batista about his upcoming movie. And Batista has said he not only is open to another WWE run and return, he thinks about it daily and would like to have one more short, concise program in WWE to close his career.
Last I heard, when he was saying these things, WWE was saying, we don't want you. And I think that's a huge mistake.
Yeah. Why?
I think they made a mistake last time. I think Batista has heat with Vince because Batista said, I want to come in as a heel, and they brought him in the face, and it didn't work. And then after the fact, he got online and said, hey, I said I wanted to be a heel, and the creative team would not listen to me, and they, this is what they wanted me to do. I thought it was a terrible idea, and they should have pushed Daniel Bryan. And I think going against what the company wanted and the tagline the company wanted to get out there, probably got him heat. Personally, I would like to see him at something like All In, or visiting New Japan. I'd love to see Okada versus Batista. Like, I'd love to see some of those matches. And I told him as much, and he says he gets that all the time. I mean, I met him at C2E2 this past April in Chicago. And he said a lot of people tell him they'd like to see him in New Japan, and they'd like to see a Batista-Okada match. And I'm like, well, that's great because hopefully you take that to heart because, it'd be amazing to see. The other concern is he might have the time to do a lot more wrestling due to the fact that it looks like he might be pulling out of Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah, he is one of the big James Gunn supporters.
Yeah.
And said that if he's not going to do the movie, that's not what he signed up to. He doesn't want to be dragged.
And then the studio put the movie on hold right now. Like, they pushed back shooting.
They've got to work that out. They've got to get that sorted out. So, I would like to see a Batista, one more concise Batista run.
Yeah.
Like, again, you could bring him back as a face against the right opponent because people, I think, would pop to see him.
You know what I would be totally into seeing the Shield versus Batista, Randy Orton, and John Cena. That last generation of guys.
That'd be good.
Against the Shield.
That'd be good.
Like,
I think I'm in for that.
Yeah, I mean,
I think there's, again, like, he's not talking about coming back full time. He's not talking about taking a spot. He wants to come back and have like one more run to kind of seal his career, because he's a Hall of Famer. Like,
Absolutely.
He's a Hall of Famer. He's going to the Hall of Fame at some point.
And I mean, do you really want the last run to be known as the Blutista run?
Yeah, you don't want the Blutista run being your last run.
No.
So, he did a sit down with What Culture. He says he thinks about it every day, wants to make it happen. Who knows? So maybe we'll see that in the next year or two. I think that'd be good. Big Kaz or Cass or whatever we're calling him. I believe he's getting ready to get booked under Big Kaz.
Yep. I seen some stuff this weekend. They were promoting some shows that he was going to be on. So
he gave a pretty interesting interview where he owned up to a lot of his bad behavior in the WWE, and it sounds like he's kind of trying to get himself right and trying to grow as a human. Which, like, people are like, of course, people are awful human beings, and they're like, he's a scumbag, blah blah blah. Look. He's like, I made a lot of mistakes in WWE. I would have fired me if I was Vince.
God, he would be such a good heel enforcer for somebody on the indies.
And let him go to the indies. Let him kind of figure himself out who he is. Let him there's another guy, he needs a move set.
Yep.
He's got 3 moves. When he throws that boot, God, he's probably got the best big boot in wrestling. But that's all he's got.
Yeah.
He's got to come along. And he talked about that. He's like, I really don't know what's out there. I signed. I came up with, FCW and NXT, and I got signed real early because of my size and my look, and I missed out on a lot on the indies. I don't understand it out here. I got to go learn. And credit to him for being like, I made a lot of mistakes. I got to go fix it.
I think
that's
it'd
a guy.
behoove him to go to the New Japan Dojo. Personally, I think he could learn a lot there, and I think he would be a draw for them to have in some opening card matches on some of their shows. Some undercard matches, just getting his feet wet and using what he's learning in the dojo. I think it could be beneficial for both sides. Yeah,
I mean that, or just getting working some of the bigger indies. And not working crazy matches or anything, but working fundamentally sound matches with guys that can work with big men and that he can learn from. And getting with another big man mentor. I don't know who that is. But like I said, you got to give a guy credit when he says, I probably deserve to get fired. I'm going to fix it. I'll do what I can. You got to give a guy credit. He's taking stock of what got him to where he was. And he's trying to advance his career. So that was I felt like kind of a feel-good story, because the rumors were he had atomic heat with everybody backstage. Nobody really cared for him or Enzo. Nobody. It was just this mixed bag of nobody wanted to work with him. The stuff he did with the Bryan angle when he went off script.
Yeah.
And kudos for him to owning up and being like, hey, I screwed up. So, that was kind of a nice story. One more thing I want to hit on. If you don't watch the Joe Rogan Experience or listen to the Joe Rogan Experience, this is a good way to get. I'm a big Joe Rogan fan. I'm a huge Joe Rogan fan. Episode 1166. It's me. It's DDP.
I love DDP.
So 2 hours, and Joe Rogan, I think, is one of the best interviewers, doing any sort of media at all. If you haven't listened to his podcast, it's long form. He does his commercials up front. He does his pub up front, first 5 to 7 minutes. If you don't want to deal with that, just go watch it on YouTube. He posts all of his shows live on YouTube, whenever he's doing them, and then they're up there. But if you're a podcast person, you want to listen to it, you can do that too. And he usually goes 2 hours minimum. He'll go 2 to 3 hours. I believe he went over. He went 219 with DDP, and he really has a way of having a genuine conversation with a person, so you can get to know them. And go. I haven't checked it out yet, but people are raving about it. I'm gonna listen to it later today. I just wanted to put it out there. his show's excellent. You know, it's one of the most listened to podcasts in the world. So obviously he's doing something right, but specifically for wrestling fans. And I would imagine they're going to talk some wrestling. And they're also going to talk more about DDP's like personal journey and the yoga and how he's helping guys, because that's the kind of Rogan's just going to naturally let the conversation go where it goes. So maybe go check that out this week.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Speaking of DDP, I should mention that there was so much interaction with legendary wrestlers at Starrcast that I found myself on Sunday and Monday regularly using the words bro and brother in my speech, and I'm like, oh hey, I must have been to like a wrestling convention. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Jordan pointed out, he's like, why do you keep saying bro and brother all the time? I'm like,
make Starrcast racist again?
Well, it
wasn't Hogan. It wasn't.
All the boys say brother.
I know.
Bro.
I'm just saying
like,
it wasn't Hogan though.
Yeah.
Like
the bro thing is Page, man. Like he starts talking.
Hey, bro,
like,
bro.
Yeah. Bro, you don't understand the DDP yoga, bro. It's over. It's over. You can get it on the app, bro. And I'm like,
yeah, because
right,
when random guy in the hotel lobby is trying to tell you need to change your platform
to Twitch because video gamers.
he knows the business, but some people, man, come on. I don't know. Apparently that Brother Bob saw that happen. Some guy trying to convince DDP he needs to change DDP yoga to Twitch.
Yeah, the whole time I'm sitting there like, oh man, like, and Paige is all like, the guy's like, yeah, there are like college kids making $100,000 a year streaming video games. Yeah, bro, but I don't do video games. I do yoga, bro.
It's
and I'm like, oh, I love Paige.
I think DDP is doing just fine on his own. So,
yeah.
Bob, you got any other points before we round it out and wrap it up this week?
I might have a little something.
Uh-oh.
Right here.
What do you got? He's hiding.
It's not a bag of thumbtacks, I promise.
I ain't taking that bump. There's a reason I'm a fan and not a wrestler.
All right. Well,
I don't know if they. That's still. It's the cigars.
Yeah. There's your
the
American Nightmare.
Rebel, the American Nightmare, American Rebel cigar line. So that's fantastic. Like you did meet those guys.
I did.
So
and they were sold out when I first met them. And the gentleman who was at the booth was awesome, and he was mentioning that he's got this book, which he was nice enough to gift us, which I'm sure we're going to read, and said he'd be willing to have us to come on the show. But on Sunday, I managed to walk past the booth, and no one was really doing anything in front of it. And they had brought more cigars in after the cigar party and had some extras. So one of those, sir, is yours.
Fantastical.
And I don't know if we wanted to do like a smoke and do it on camera and review it, or how we're going to do that.
We're going to have to figure this out.
And
then I'm going to give an honest review because I'm kind of a cigar prick. I'm a snob. But
aficionado is the preferred term.
I'm a snob. I don't beer and cigars are but thank you, sir. It's got the it's got the American Rebel band, and we'll get some exclusive Starrcast band. So we'll get some pictures of this up on Twitter as well. But this is very cool. So we're gonna have to smoke these and hit them up, and kudos.
To tell you, holding back on the footage of David Arquette and the cigar surprise.
Dying of fire.
Trying to bring a little bit of Starrcast home to you.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I appreciate you bringing this home. The less about the David Arquette footage. I could have done without that, but I'm glad you had a good time.
Apparently,
I hope
he's teaming with Hurricane coming up here at an indie show, man.
Man, I know he's working like indie shows and getting billed as former WCW champion, and it hurts my brain. It hurts my brain, guys.
And because of that, it makes me laugh.
Yeah, a little bit. So, well, I'm glad you had a good time, Bob. I hope you guys had a good time watching us. As always, you want to help us out, subscribe, share, That's super helpful. You can hit us up on social media at Smarkdown Radio or at CPBuff22 on Twitter. Smarkdownradio@gmail.com for all your email needs. And please, guys, we go live even if we're running late. This way you don't have to sit around and wait. You can get a notification if you just sweet that bell.
And thank you again to Papa Buck, Matt Massie. His music is available on iTunes as well as his CD available on youngbucksmerch.com. So go check him out. He was amazing this weekend. We've ran into him a ton of times. He got back to us right away when we asked for permission to use the music. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, super good guy. So be sure to check his stuff out.
All right, I'm super kicking the button unless you got something else, Bob.
Super kick it.